Secretary Nuland, in your statement, you outline our goal as threefold. First, we want peace, then political normalization, and then ultimately return to borders, which I imagine includes Crimea as well. The question that I have is how realistic, and the hope is that Minsk would offer that promise, with peace coming first as a precondition for all these things to be possible. The question that I have is how realistic is that goal, given the goals that Putin has himself? I think the goal, unless any of you dispute this, I think the goal Putin has here is to basically, it's not just about Ukraine, it's about completely reorganizing the post-Cold War, post-Soviet era order in Europe. And it's not just about Ukraine. And in that context, that's why he wants to weaken and divide and perhaps even force NATO to fall apart. In fact, he's questioned why we even need a NATO anymore since there's no more Soviet Union. As part of furthering that goal, he's openly said that they believe they need to establish a sphere of influence, and not just throughout the former Soviet space, but also in former Warsaw Pact type countries. This whole talk about protecting Russian speakers, this is just an excuse that he puts out there as a justification before the international community for moving forward. But ultimately, their ultimate goal here is to carve out, to reorder the post-Soviet order in the region, and to carve out for Russia a strategic space for themselves of influence. And so in light of that, why should we have any hope that these ceasefires are actually going to hold, given we know what his ultimate goal is? Now, he may agree to a temporary ceasefire as a tactical move, maybe hopefully to split us off from the Europeans, in essence, hoping for us, and maybe that's why there's been arguments that we shouldn't go on sanctions alone, because it could cause a friction with the European Union and split us from them in that regard. But at the end of the day, he may agree to a ceasefire temporarily, either to consolidate gains they've already made, or to perhaps try to create a point of friction between hoping that we'll jump out ahead of the Europeans and create that as a division. But ultimately, his goal, unquestionably, is to completely rearrange the order in this area and carve out for Russia a sphere of influence. So how is it even realistic, given knowing that about him, to think that he's ever going to allow stabilization to return to Ukraine and that he's ever going to return back to their borders?